I'm Jessica DiRuzza. I'm a professional astrologer, licensed psychotherapist, and teacher. And I have been doing astrology since 2007. We're approaching 20 years. And I absolutely love to come on here, my Trust Psyche YouTube channel, and talk about the planets. And specifically, I love talking about the planetary combinations and the archetypal realm that each one of them represents. And so today I want us to enter together into the realm of Mars-Uranus. They're currently moving into a conjunction, and it's a really great time for us to become more familiar and deepen into our understanding and embodiment and participation with these two planetary archetypes and the universe that they create when they come together in any major alignment. But specifically here, we're invoking the conjunction, the most powerful out of all of the five major aspects in astrology. I'm a natal Mars square Uranus, and I feel very much at home in this energy, but also it's something that has been a huge signature in my life. And so I'm really excited to be able to explore it with you today. So let us enter into the Mars-Uranus universe. The way that I like to approach astrology is almost as if every time is the first time. So when we're entering into the Mars-Uranus universe, I just want to be present to what we notice as we tune into what these energies can be and their full spectrum of expression and manifestation in our individual and collective lives. Every archetypal combination is its own universe. It's its own mythopoetic realm, and it has its own guidelines and governing principles and energies that it abides by. And every single combination out of the 45 planetary pairs has its own unique, distinct archetypal signature and qualities. So here we go. Mars-Uranus is the need for speed. It is the ultimate upper of the universe. Think here anything like caffeine, rocket fuel, the jaguar, the cheetah. It's the sprinter. It's the one that goes super fast, super quick, bam, right out the gate. So it's this huge burst of energy that just has this incredible amount of acceleration to it. Mars is the warrior and the athlete, but it's also the fire and the will, and it's the impulse to go and to take action, where Uranus is lightning speed. It's so fast, so sudden. And so when you get the two together, they're incredibly electric. It's fire and electricity coming together. And so that amount of heat and that amount of energy and that amount of speed is an incredible force within the universe that we get to experience whenever they come into alignment. So when I say that Mars-Uranus is rocket fuel, what I mean by that is it's the ability to take flight, and it's the ability to launch into and out of gravity into outer space. So when a launch is successful, we defy gravity and we go into outer space. But when a launch is unsuccessful, it explodes. Mars-Uranus can go either way. It can be the rocket fuel that propels us out, or it can be the explosion that makes everything combust and burn on fire. That is its spectrum. And we never know for sure which way it's going to go, because Uranus is the trickster. It's full of surprises and it's unpredictable in its nature. So when Mars and Uranus come together, we never know if the energy is going to move towards breaking out into the next realm, or if it's going to be the thing that falls apart. There's an inherent risk involved when these two energies come together. It definitely has a high risk-taking quality to it, and it enjoys that kind of energy. There's a thrill to Mars-Uranus. Again, it's the ultimate upper of the universe. So when you think of here something like the ultimate speedball, right? It's a high caffeinated energy. You know, you can think of other uppers things like Adderall or cocaine. These all kind of carry this Mars-Uranus energy, which definitely can not only be very energized and inspired and ready to go and on fire, but it also can be kind of manic and ungrounded. Uranus is chaotic, and Mars activates or catalyzes whatever it touches. So when you get Mars and Uranus together, there's this activation and catalyzation of chaos and unpredictability. Uranus also relates to the youth. And so when Mars and Uranus come together, you tend to feel more of a angst or restlessness within the youth. Uranus is rebellion and revolution and change, and Mars wants to take action. And so you see this very much in this fight for change or this fight for rebellion and revolution, particularly by the youth or by anyone who's identified with the rebel energy or the trickster. But that being said, Mars is also anger and frustration and irritability that can even turn into rage. And Uranus liberates whatever it touches and it awakens it. So Mars Uranus definitely can also be anger and frustration within the youth. You can see more fights there. You can also see your children tend to get more impatient and cranky and irritable if things aren't happening right away. So that impatience and that quick to react, it's a very reactionary energy because Uranus is impulsive and Uranus is Mars is that need to take action. And when you get the two together, it can be this impulsive reactionary energy where there's not necessarily a lot of thought or processing or reflection going on. And so particularly, and this is true for all of us, but particularly in children, because Uranus relates to the youth, you might notice that children and adolescent and teenagers, that they tend to be more impulsive and reactionary during this time and impatient in general. There's this sense of urgency or even emergency. There's this sense of restlessness because Uranus is about the new and innovation and adventure. It loves novelty. When you get Mars there with it, it's this impulse to go towards that. So it's this need for new adventures and going out into the unknown and having these new experiences right now. I noticed this in my children, even this morning. They're both so quick to go to the front door, like, let me out of here. I want to go explore the world. And they've been wanting to go explore new places. So there's that greater sense of taking risk, but also that need for novelty. But there's a general sense of impatience for it. So if it doesn't happen right this second, there's this temper tantrum, or there's this growl, or this Mars kind of primal that can come with it. But that being said, the energy, because it's that of the sprinter or that of the cheetah, right? Like the fastest animal, quick speed, 0 to 80, bam, just like that. The Mars-Uranus energy has that. So that's why it has that quality of the rocket fuel, is it takes a tremendous amount of fuel and energy to get going. And if you catch that wave of, here we go, it can blast you into, you know, really cool, radically new, exciting, exhilarating, thrilling experiences. But if you don't catch that energy, that's when it has that tendency to feel like it crashes and burns, or it gets temperamental and irritable and frustrated because things aren't radically breaking into new horizons or new realms. So, you know, if you don't follow the impulse for whatever the changes are that you feel are coming into your life right now, there's a tendency to feel really stuck in this sense of irritability and frustration that things aren't more different and radically so than where you've been. So because Uranus seeks liberation, freedom, change, and Mars activates and catalyzes whatever it touches, what ends up happening is the places you have felt stuck in your life, the places where you have felt you've had to be on a pause, or you haven't felt forward movement or momentum, whatever that is in your life. And for whatever the reasons are that has happened, the Mars-Uranus shows us exactly where it wants us to focus that fiery electric impulse to break free. And if we can get on board with it and use the rocket fuel and the horse out the gate and allow it to take us to where it wants to go, we tend to accelerate in our experience and build on momentum, which the Mars-Uranus loves because of that exhilaration and that thrill and that change that it needs in order to be satiated and satisfied. What ends up happening is it builds inspiration. So the call to action with Mars-Uranus is by doing the action and following the impulse, what we end up often seeing is natural inspiration and motivation and momentum that takes us out of the places where we have felt stuck or on pause or limited or having to have gone very slowly or had to kind of shelve something. And that could be for anything. It could be because of illness. It could be because of other responsibilities, because life has been too busy, because, your plate has been full, as so many of us have been, overwhelmed or stressed out or burnt out. That the Mars-Uranus energy, it has this quality of now or never. And, you can argue with that as much as you want, saying, well, that's not true, and we have time, and da-da-da. But if we're honoring the intelligence and the mythological universe of Mars-Uranus within that framework and that orientation, it is now or never. That is the experience of it. And I'll give you an example of this. Part of the genius of Mars-Uranus is your impulse can be genius. And by that, what I mean is there's this sense of catching a vibrational wave. It's a feeling. Uranus has a quality of relating to precognition and foresight. So in a certain kind of way, it's highly intuitive in a different way than Neptune is. And when you pick up on that frequency, that is that precognition or foresight, and then the Mars will aligns with it to go, you can catch doorways of openings that otherwise you could not catch unless you followed that impulse, because the impulse has a brilliance to it and it has a knowing, it has an intelligence. This isn't necessarily true for a lot of the other aspects or planetary combinations in astrology, but it very much is a main defining feature of Mars-Uranus. And so because I have it natally, I have a phrase actually that I say to my husband when I'm feeling this energy. And when I feel it and I'm like, oh, I was like, we got to go now. He's like, oh, okay. And we literally have a grab bag by the front door that's packed for the moments where I'm saying, no, we have to go right now. And the honoring of that right nowness with Mars-Uranus, when it's coming from a centered place of knowing, it takes you to places that otherwise you cannot access. I don't know how else to say it. There's a train that comes in the station and you either get on it or you don't. And Mars-Uranus has that energy to it. So it's that, hey, we got to go now. And if we miss that wave, the sense of forlornment, but then frustration and irritability of I said we had to go and we didn't go, and we missed those opportunities that were there. So if you're feeling that, and you feel regulated or centered, the impulse to take action now is usually rewarded with the Mars-Uranus. However, if you're dysregulated and you're not coming from a centered place, and it's coming from a reactionary, ungrounded, chaotic place, then the opposite tends to happen, where there is the activation and creation of more chaos that is usually highly disruptive and destabilizing and problematic, in the sense that it causes problems for you and it tends to cause problems for the people around you, where they have to clean up and pick up your tornado. So you can think here of the Tasmanian devil. It can come through, it can whirl everything around, and it can either leave a huge mess that you and or others have to pick up after, or it can grab everything it needs, swirl it all together, create and concoct something really incredible and inspiring and creative, very highly and creative and novel and new and exciting and fun and playful and and go do something, wonderful with it. So it really can go and does either way. We experience the full spectrum of light and shadow here with every combination, no matter who we are. But I will say that when we are following the call to action and listening to our impulse as a creative intelligence that has a brilliance to it from a centered, regulated place that's in tune, because we're attuned to ourselves and the environment and those around us, there really truly is a creative brilliance to it. Because Mars is also about physicality, athleticism, it's the warrior, right? It's our chi, it's our fire, it's our prana. That, and often relating to the third chakra, is that Mars-Uranus really does very well with staying in motion. So if every planetary combination has its own kind of meditation to it, Mars-Uranus is the meditation that happens through doing. It's the meditation that happens through action. It's the meditation that happens through aligning your will of what you want and having the courage to go for it. But it's also the meditation that happens through being in movement. It's not walking meditation. It's running meditation, biking meditation, swimming meditation. It doesn't matter necessarily what the physical activity is, as long as there's this sense of propulsion behind it, where you're moving, you're going, there's that sense of propulsion coming out the gates where the energy moves from behind you. The best way I can describe it is it feels like a combination of lightning coming from the heavens down into the crown and out, but it also can feel like this propulsion from behind you, and that's where the horse at the gate or the cheetah is. It goes boom, go. And so when you can align your physical activity in whatever way is right for you, given your body, your conditions, that is part of what allows the Mars-Uranus to find its channel through you, so that it can do what it is wanting to do, which is to often unstuck, unlock things and put them into motion. So if something's been on pause, it wants play. If something's been stopped, it wants go. So Mars-Uranus is the go, particularly around where we felt a stop. So if you tune into where have you felt on stop, where have you felt on pause, where have you felt stuck, and take inventory of that, typically the Mars-Uranus is, yo, let's do it. And let's do it now. And, to the best of our ability, right? But again, there is an inherent risk in it. Because Uranus is unpredictable, we cannot guarantee the outcome. It is an open universe. So because it's unpredictable in its nature, part of what you have to be willing to do is kind of embrace the Fool archetype in the tarot, which is that kind of leap of faith, but it's a leap of faith through taking action. And it's these ideas that it is by taking action, we get clarity. It's by taking action, we know what the next right step is for us. It's by taking action and having the courage, which is a strong component of Mars, to live with our whole heart, and that passion that comes with Mars and that fire that comes with Mars, to say, when you have the courage to take the next step, whatever that next step is, that's when the path becomes clear. And that is an inherent truth to Mars-Uranus like none other. You cannot know what the next right step is until you take action. So you have to take the step, and it's by taking it that you get the insight and the awareness and the revelation that comes with Uranus of that lightning bulb turning on and saying, oh, aha, I see what is right for me, what is right relation, what's the next right thing to do here. And that's where it is that call to action. It also very much relates to that sense of the path does not become clear until you lay your foot down on the ground and the next brick gets put in front of you. Mars-Uranus requires you to take the step in order for the next brick to appear. I don't know how else to describe the process and intelligence of how this universe works other than letting you know that that is how it works. And I think sometimes we can get kind of tricked or stuck in our life thinking that first we need the clarity and then we'll know. Though that might be true sometimes, with Mars-Uranus, that's not actually what's true. And if we are attuned to what's going on, what we can do is we can use that rocket fuel and that creative impulse that has a genius to it to be able to radically move forward and gain momentum in our life toward the future in an alignment with a future that feels more alive, that feels more promising, that feels more exciting, that feels more worth living, because we were willing to take action and take that risk. I think, though, it's also very much important to recognize that that quality of Mars-Uranus, which can be like the flash in the pan, is that, yeah, you know what? Not every idea or action pans out. That's part of life. That's part of living. That's part of trying. That's part of engaging and participating. Not everything we do is going to be seen all the way through to completion of maybe what we're taught completion is. But we'll never know what that is if we're not willing to try. And so that level of participation and co-creation with this energy says, yeah, guess what? Like, no, not every single thing we try to take forward action on is going to pan out, especially in the way that we think it is, or maybe what our sense of completion is. But the thing is that when we allow ourselves to move forward in one area of our life, that tends to light up. If you can imagine here, like a grid, like you've ever seen like a power outage, and then when the lights come back on and you're seeing it like kind of that aerial view of a city, and it goes, the Mars-Uranus has that quality to it where like the lights have been off, the power comes back on, and the grid all comes on like this neural network. So if you go to take forward action in some area in your life and it's like, oh, okay, that wasn't it, and you redirect the energy, typically it's like you've already built the momentum to say, oh yeah, okay, let's go there, let's do that. So in a certain kind of sense, Mars-Uranus has a very like beta quality to it, in the sense of beta in get it out, just do it, try it, see how it goes, and then make adjustments, right? So it's kind of the antithesis of perfectionism. Like, oh, I have it perfectly all curated and together, and now I'm going to wait for the perfect moment to do the project or to release the thing. And the thing about Mars-Uranus is it's more like, no, do it and then make adjustments and see on the go as the thing has already taken life. I think that's also a key part of it, is that it wants legs of its own. Uranus is independence and freedom. And so it's almost like the things we birth, the projects we have, whatever it might be, it wants to have a life of its own. just like your children want to have a life of their own. I know my children do. They're both very independent. And, it's that we're in that stage. My son is 1, my daughter's 5, where we're negotiating that back and forth between dependence and independence. And it's like, of course, they're both dependent on my husband, Travis, and I for so many things. But wherever I can support their independence, I try my best to, even when it comes to a blow to me in some way, like, oh, like I really wanted to hold you longer. I wanted to feed you more. I was kind of hoping you needed more from me here. Like, yes, I get to have those feelings. That's real. That's human. That's part of parenting. And I can't let those feelings stop them from growing and moving forward and becoming their unique individuals, which is what Uranus is so about. It's about the freedom to be who each and every single one of us uniquely are. Uranus is our beautiful freak flag and the way that we come out of our own closet. And Mars, it pushes us sometimes off a cliff to do that. It's riding a bike without training wheels. It's a little bird going out of the nest for the first time and seeing if it can fly. That level of risk that is inherent to this energy is part of how we develop. And so Mars-Uranus is the catalyst towards greater levels of freedom and independence in our lives. And when we can support one another in that, I think that is one of the kind of closer definitions to interdependence that I understand. That through our relationship and our bond and our attachment and our safety and our trust here, we can mutually support one another in the places where we need greater levels of freedom, greater levels of independence, and to also coexist in our unique individualities, right? And the brilliance that comes from when each of us are out of our own closets. I mean, that's so much of the work that I'm doing as a psychotherapist in my private practice, is helping people or supporting people to essentially attune to their own inner compass of what is right relation for them, including deepening into new levels of truth that we all come into as human beings as we grow and evolve and mature and develop and all the things, right? Like, we're in this evolutionary process where we're constantly deepening into new layers of our truth. And we all need support in doing that, right? That's the attachment piece, the dependence piece, in the sense of we need each other as relational beings. However, the needs there are, but my intention there and what I'm doing my best to do is to align with supporting you to have what is for your highest good and my highest good simultaneously, and the practice of that and the art of that. And so Mars-Uranus is like this moment where we come out of the closet more in some way. Obviously it's Pride Month right now, and this incredible celebration of what it means for all of us to be able to genuinely be free to be ourselves while being respected and cared for, protected politically and socially and financially, that we all deserve as human beings. That democratic view of Uranus that very much is about the human dignity for freedom and liberty for all. And I think that what you might notice under Mars-Uranus is this incredible fiery impulse to come out more as who we are. And oftentimes the surprise of that, like, whoa, I didn't realize that is who I am now, or I didn't realize that's what I actually want, or I didn't realize that that's what mattered to me. And the allowance of that to flare forth, because Mars-Uranus is an emergent process where whatever it is that our unique individuality is wanting has a quality of emerging in a flaring out and forth energy that often is surprising, that often is shocking to ourselves, to those around us. And I'm seeing this right now with my clients and watching them be surprised by new dimensions of their truth around what their freedom and independence actually means, and watching the people around them react. And this is part of the gestalt of Mars-Uranus, is sometimes when this energy is present, we can experience or elicit or constellate surprising reactions from the people around us around when we come out of the closet in whatever way we are and saying, here I am, this is what I want, this is what I like. And sometimes the Mars-Uranus is like this quick reactionary response that sometimes might not be the best response or the whole truth. And it could even create a rupture in the relationship where we need to eventually slow it down and say, hey, I'm sorry about that. That wasn't quite how I wanted to respond. Or, that wasn't my best self there, So there are qualities of Mars-Uranus where we don't bite our tongue, where we say the thing that's on our mind, where we don't think things through, and it's not always a positive outcome. We can hurt each other. We can create conflict. We can create tension and problems with the people in our lives because of either their tornado spiraling through and creating destructive chaos and destabilization through the shock and awe, or because of our reaction to their freedom, their independence, their creative expression, whatever that might be, and us having sometimes a juvenile or immature response. Uranus can sometimes be very juvenile, and Mars-Uranus sometimes can bring out a certain quality of juvenile delinquency or toxic masculinity that just feels super young, undeveloped, immature, selfish, violent, and that can manifest in all kinds of ways, like racism and sexism and misogyny, bigotry. And, when Mars-Uranus comes about and people let out their bigotry, it's awful and it's violent and it's disgusting and it's immature. And that also is a very real part of this energy. I know that I focused a lot more, maybe perhaps on the positive valence of it and trying to honor, this realm and what it can be. But very much when it's coming from a place of selfishness or unconsciousness, where we're not clear why we're acting the way we're acting, or we're acting from a hurt place, it can be a violent, destructive energy that is grotesque. And, we're seeing that too. So it's just to be aware of the full kind of spectrum of this universe as we continue to always learn and grow with and through it every single time, whether it comes into conjunction or you have it in your natal chart or someone in your life has it in their natal chart. And what I want to end with is this, is that when we approach the Mars-Uranus with the kind of genuine curiosity that I tried to do today, as if it was the first time, what it does is it increases our ability to not only be aware of this energy and to participate or co-create with this energy, but it also allows us to have the universe, and specifically here with astrology, the planets and the archetypes stay alive. And we all can fall into the trap of them becoming dead letters, dead words, dead symbols by rote memorization of sticking to the adjectives that we know or the examples that we know. And there's nothing wrong with having that there. It's part of the lexicon. But if it stays there or we overly occupy that mode, that is typically when it becomes not alive. And if any combination wants something to be alive, it's Mars-Uranus. And that's why we do our best to stay open to the unexpected and the surprises and the differences and the changes that come with this energy. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate getting to share this time and space with you. I would love for you to leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I would love for you to like this video and share it. Subscribe to my channel. Come check out the Trust Psyche podcast. You can get an archetypal astrology reading with my husband, Travis DiRuzza. Come to trustpsyche.com. Check out all our offerings. We have astrology courses for all levels, from beginner to professional. We also run professional groups and consultation. And my husband, Travis, has a counseling practice, and I have a psychotherapy practice. And we would just always love to hear from you or live astrology with you in any way that feels right to you. All right, everyone, take good care.